All right, so I've got some clips here from different speakers on different topics, and I want your opinions on at least one of them. If you give your opinions on multiple, that'd be great, but even just give your opinion on one of them, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll explain why in just a moment. But first, I want to let you know that there was a member call at johnlebon.com that was previously available only to members. It is now available publicly via Podbean and Spotify and however else you listen to your podcasts. There's a link to the main page for that in the comment section below, so you can download or stream it via that, or like I said, Podbean or Spotify. There's a bunch of topics discussed in that member call. I think you'll enjoy it. And also, we've got another member call coming up tonight in just a few hours, so if you are a member of johnlebon.com, check the link. The times for the call are available there, and I'm looking forward to it. Now let's get to these clips. These are the clips that we'll be discussing in tonight's member call. Of course, you come to a member call, we can discuss whatever you like, but I always try to bring some clips of my own to play for the panelists and get their thoughts. So here are those clips. Let's check this one out. This is from Quantum of Conscience. Take a look at this.
Go watch Catch Me If You Can. It gives you a great flavor of what the Pan Am or the old flying experience was to a degree in the 60s and 70s. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio, Da Vinci, Catch Me If You Can. Get a little bit of a flavor. The nice meals and the flying, and it was on time, and people were friendly. But what exists today, it's another facet of the horrible flying experience, is the flight attendants on power trips. They probably learned that from their friends at the TSA. Well, you say one thing a little wrong or a little innuendo or something, the flight attendant, now they may not ground the flight in Dubuque. They might not say, we're taking this plane down. They might get you to Denver or whatever. But when that plane lands, all the authorities will be waiting for your ass. It's ladies and gentlemen, we had a passenger who was offensive to one of the flight attendants, calling that flight attendant not just stewardess and not the they-them pronoun that they preferred. We have the authorities needing to come on the plane to take away the unruly passenger. We apologize for the inconvenience, and thank you for flying United Airlines.
So this video is certainly not going the way I intended. We've now completed example number 1 of 10,000 left to go, of a facet of society and culture that has been completely destroyed and bastardized. The flying experience, which we will extend to all of travel. Not going to do a separate segment on the horrible, wretched Amtrak and the smell of vomit as you board those trains. Matt, I think some of the trolls may have been correct about you. You're very negative. I don't think I want to be here anymore. The frequency's lowering. So let me get this straight. If there's something organized against us, we should pretend it doesn't exist and not call it out, not look at its tactics, what it's currently doing. Just pretend to sing Kumbaya around the campfire and pretend it doesn't exist. Yeah, it can get negative because what the thing that's organized against us does isn't really positive, okay? But we can use it to strengthen our own armor, see through the trick, etc.
So Quantum of Conscience seems to think that everything is getting worse. He says literally everything is getting worse, and he said try and give me an example of something that's not getting worse, and I thought about it. It was more difficult than I expected. At the same time, though, these people who are saying that he's too negative, are they maybe also onto something? We'll talk about that on tonight's member call. The next one, this is from Tim Ozman talking about what he does and does not believe. Take a listen to this.
Mike S. says, do you not believe in any higher powers? Well, I don't believe in aliens. Don't believe in unicorns. I don't believe in AI. Like, what higher power do you believe in? And more importantly, though, our discussion here really focuses on separating what we know from what we can merely assert to believe. And we're excluding from our conversation supernatural causes. So, for example, eerie coincidences in the entertainment that seem to foreshadow a future news event. Am I going to rule in the possibility a higher power did that? No, it's a logical flaw. It's fallacious. Man did it. Prove me wrong. And if you can't, then you kind of have to recognize that we have a firmer grasp on the facts here.
So Tim Ozman says that he doesn't believe in or doesn't subscribe to any supernatural explanations for the amazing coincidences that we see. I can understand this perspective, but at the same time, there's some weird things that have happened, both in the pop culture, in the mainstream, and the news stories, and also in my own life, and I find it hard to entirely dismiss these so-called mystical explanations. We'll talk about that on tonight's member call. Okay, the third clip, this one is a bit shorter. This one's just from Donald Trump a few months ago. Very short clip. Take a listen to this.
But had I not made that turn, I wouldn't be with you tonight, and that would have been bad. And I hope that's right. I hope that's right. I hope that God did put me here to to really save this country.
Was Trump put here by God to save America from the disaster? Was anybody put here by God? Were you put here by God? We'll talk about that and so much more on tonight's Member Call. And this final clip, this one's from a little while ago. This is Alex Jones on the Joe Rogan show. Now, bear in mind, this is before Joe Rogan and Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all these people seem to become friends. This is from a couple of years ago, I believe. So with that in mind, take a listen to this.
What I think is that we are apes. We are these weird talking apes that are in an adolescent stage of technological evolution. And what we might be looking at when we see these tic-tac UFOs and other things, we might be looking at something from the future. We might be looking at time travelers. We might be looking at something that comes back and visits
Joe, I think
us.
that's a good approximation, but we're a little bit beyond just apes. Clearly, we're from outside the planet, and there's something bigger going on. Like this life form's happened before. This is a major test. And so we can sit there and just say, oh, we're just apes.
No, I don't mean that. What I mean by we're just apes is that in comparison to what we could be eventually through evolution.
You're saying
or
we're in a
scientific
metamorphosis.
Yeah, we're on look, we're a lot smarter than apes, right? Than regular apes that are in
most of us
in the zoo or in
some of the
jungle.
public's dumber than apes.
Yeah.
Right. I was about to say, let's
some of
not
them are dumber.
Paint with a broad brush.
But we're nowhere near where our potential lies,
Right.
right? Our potential lies far, far, far in advance of what we are currently. And I think some of this has to do with some of these symbiotic technologies that we're talking about, like Neuralink and a lot of these things that are being proposed that are eventually going to find their way into the human body and accelerate.
I agree, but are they going to censor
our ability?
Are they going to censor our ability?
Well,
see, because we're already growing, and all I see from big tech is censorship. So is the Neuralink going to censor what I do?
Well,
it'll plug in and make me feel great and hit my pleasure centers.
Well, when you're talking about human emotions and greed and power and all these different things, these are all biological issues that we have that the idea is will be transcended if you could somehow
if you
eliminate
believe the
a
big
lot of
tech
these-
lords aren't like us. They're us though, so they're in charge of the same thing that we already are. So to say, oh, big tech lords are going to take us away from our human problems,
Right, but do you understand-
transcend sin, they're going to make it worse.
Are we just monkeys who are more able to communicate verbally and via art and what have you? Are we just monkeys, or are we more than that? Are we going through an evolution? A lot of people have very definitive positions on this. I'm not sure how many of those people have really thought it through and how many are willing to reconsider new ideas. So we'll talk about that clip, the other clips, and so much more on tonight's member session. The information for that is available in the comment section below. And if you're not already on the JLB Discord server, you want to check those links to find out how you can join that server to take part in these calls. And if you don't want to be on the calls, you just like to listen, I have published the first member session, previously available just for members at johnlebon.com, now available to you, to everybody, Podbean, Spotify, the whole lot, and of course the link in the comment section below. And to leave your comments, what do you think about these clips? Just pick one or pick all four, leave your thoughts, I look forward to it. Thank you very much, have a lovely day.
How dare you!